Hi, welcome to Ms. Cooper's art class. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use some advanced ballpoint pen techniques. Today I'm using a Bic Crystal pen. They have a little bit of a wider tip, and I like those. At first you just want to kind of scribble it out, get the ink running, and then after that you want to wipe off the tip by kind of rolling on the side of the ball. It'll get rid of any gummy residue. After that I like to warm up. You can see me kind of doing some strokes that are all going the same way. This is helpful for getting the pen ink going, but then also just for making sure I have the right pressure. If you want to, you can also bring a Q-tip along to make your artwork. I find it useful for blending out some of the light values and getting rid of any hatching lines. Some people love hatching lines, so you can totally leave them in there if you want to. I Q-tip only a few small areas of my drawing. So usually I get a little piece of paper under my hand to make sure I don't smear. And when I work with ballpoint pen, I do make sure I work from dark to light. This might be the opposite of what you've heard for other drawing materials. This is just what tends to work for me, is working from dark to light and mapping out those areas. You can see I've already drawn this out in pencil, so that really helps, and I tend to box in or outline the shadows a little bit just to help me out. Now in some areas I take the lines all one direction, and in some I cross hatch. It really depends on how the paper is taking the pen in that spot. So that's something you'll notice as I move along, but for the most part, I keep the lines going in the direction of the lines of my face or of the parts of my face. This just makes the drawing look a lot neater, and I also just find it easier to map out, so to speak, my own artwork when I do that. So you can see me slowing down. That's just where I'm showing you that I am taking the lines more or less the same direction the whole time. I'll speed it back up again though. So on the chin, you can see me working from dark to light, getting those wrinkles in there before filling out larger patches of skin. It also was helpful, I found, to do the lips right away. Now, in the photo I was working from, this is a picture of me, and I actually scrunched up my lips a lot and kind of did a weird smile, so you'll notice my lips have a little bit of an odd shape. I just made sure to check my reference photo a lot while I was working on this. You might notice the lines in my lips are really thick instead of thin, kind of where I have those natural wrinkles. Again, it's because of the way I wrinkled my lips. It'll make more sense when the picture's finished. As I moved onto the nose, I kept marking out those darker areas and working my way towards lighter. I do find that I'm very consistent with doing that, and it is very helpful. I only use the Q-tip in a few small areas, but I'll remind you to maybe practice on another piece of paper or check out what you want to do, see what works best for you. For me, the Q-tip just works in the light areas. I don't really find I need it in the dark areas. It also depends on your paper. I want to mention an art term. It's called the tooth of your paper, and that's how textured it is. So if your paper has a lot of texture and you want to fill in all those little holes or little gaps that it leaves, that's where you could use that Q-tip. But if you're working with really smooth paper or paper that doesn't have a lot of tooth, then you probably won't need to use the Q-tip as much. I'll also mention at this point that I do have a beginner video, so if you've never worked with ballpoint pen before and you just need to get started and do a few practice exercises, I have a basics video that I will also link for you. That way you can go ahead and give that a watch too. That one's a very quick one. As I'm moving through, you can see me kind of boxing in some darker areas of the face, and then slowly working towards lighter areas. Now, one of the areas of the face that I find the most challenging to do are some of those lighter areas. I end up with my lines really showing, and that bothers me personally, although plenty of people definitely like it and will emphasize those lines. So off camera, I do go back in at one point and I kind of add a couple other lines. That way I don't have to worry about hitting my camera setup while I'm working. Some people like to go for the eyes right away, but I decided to work on the skin around them. I find it easier to judge what values the skin has if I haven't already done some of those darker parts of the eye. I find it just makes me a little more accurate. You'll also notice that on the skin I have a couple of freckles. That's something that I will sometimes leave out, but just to capture some of the texture, I thought I would leave those in for this demonstration. You can also see under that scratch piece of paper, you can see where I've cleaned off my pen every once in a while. This is really important because as you're working, you might find that you get just a big glob of ink on the end of your pen as you keep moving it the same direction. So it's good to unload that every once in a while on the piece of paper, and then keep that piece of paper under you so you don't end up smearing your own artwork later with the side of your hand. Now the drawing's really coming together. At this point, I've already smoothed some things off camera and I'm ready to work on the eye. I found the eye to go really, really quickly because it has so many details. You just have to be so careful with the pen to avoid working too dark. So this is the only spot where I held back on doing all of the dark parts first, and I kind of outlined the lighter areas. When you work on eyes, this isn't an eye tutorial, but it's always a good time to remind you to make sure you do put some shadows on the whites of the eyes, because that's what's going to make your eye look really round. I also made sure I was looking at my reference photo for this, so I didn't add too many eyelashes, because that's another thing that's kind of easy to do with eyes. After that, I decided to call it a day, because I think you get the picture of how you can work from light to dark and build those values. So up front, you can see those lines, and as you zoom out, you can see how those lines will go together to make a really nice drawing. So I'm going to leave you there with this tutorial today, but feel free to explore whatever you need to. Thank you so much for watching. If this was helpful, you could give it a like or subscribe for some more. Comment if you have a question, and I'm happy to answer. Anyway, thank you so much for watching.